moment. Jeff, we're going to you. You're the other end of the country. You're up in Halifax. Paul, have one in Kent. More calls, as I say, in a moment. Now, I have to say, until my colleague phoned me yesterday afternoon and told me about this, I hadn't even heard of cyberflashing. I'm sorry, I profess my total ignorance. But nearly half of young women, and this is to women aged 18 through 24, have received a sexual photo they didn't ask for in the last 12 months. New research by Bumble suggests the UK's cyberflashing problem has worsened. A YouGov poll then, back in 2018, found 41% of so-called millennial women had received an unsolicited photograph. Now, as I told you, that number has increased. The vast majority of victims, by the way, are women. What is to be done? Karen Wybrow is a women's rights campaigner and who has been a victim. And if you don't, unless it upsets you, of course I won't, but would you mind talking us through what happened to you, unless it upsets you? Good morning to you.
Morning. No, I don't mind talking about it. It's absolutely fine.
Thank you.
First time, probably didn't realise at all what it was. Like you, I hadn't really heard of it.
Right.
I'm a bit older, I think, than most sort of women who experience this. I was on a crowded train and I kept having a notification flash up on my phone to accept an image that was trying to be sent to me,
right.
Which I didn't do, but I didn't really know what it was. I was like, is there something wrong with my phone? I just was a bit ignorant to it. And then most recently, I have had unsolicited sexual images sent to me on Instagram, which were actually straight kind of in your inbox, so you don't really get much of a warning that this is going to happen. So that's happened a few times to me on social media platforms, and then the airdropping continues to happen. So it happened to me on a tube train recently, and it happened to me just on the street in London as well, where you get this notification that someone wants to send you a file or an image, and you then either accept it or reject it. And the incident on the tube was probably the worst one in terms of feeling intimidated, because I think I could work out who it was who was actually trying to send me that image, and it was a guy who was sat opposite me on the tube.
No.
So that element of it is something that I think gets overlooked, because it's not just the shock that you feel when an image comes through and you see it and you're not expecting it, but it's also the feeling that that person, whoever it is that's trying to send you that image, is actually watching you and watching you for your reaction.
Spooky. Gosh.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is all, sorry, is it all done via AirDrop, is it? Is that how it was done?
The first two were AirDrop. The one most recently was actually on Instagram. So I think it happens just as frequently on social media platforms. So we're talking about Instagram, we're talking about Snapchat, places where it's quite easy to send a message through to someone who you're not even following, or you're not even friends with on those platforms, but you can send an image through and you don't know what it is until you open it, basically.
And I don't want to go into detail, but I presume they're pictures of naked men. Is that what the images were?
It was a particular part of a man, shall we say.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm with you. How is this to be addressed? How is this to be stopped then, Karen?
So I think there needs to definitely be a stronger deterrent. And cyberflashing or digital flashing has been a crime in Scotland actually since 2009. So it is a bit staggering that in England and Wales it's not a crime. It's something that is kind of unpunishable. The issue as well is that the social media platforms don't have that kind of they don't have that need to change what they do either, because there's no pressure from government. Whereas if it did become a crime, then obviously the social media platforms, these huge, wealthy companies, would actually have to do something to implement some software around it to prevent it happening. And that's actually what Bumble do. So it does happen on dating apps as well, obviously, and Bumble already has that tech in place. So for me, when I was on Bumble, I didn't feel like I was going to receive those kinds of images, because you already know that those safety features are in place on there.
Well, thank you for sharing so much. Horrific experience for you, particularly if you felt that it was from the man opposite you on the train. Karen Wybrow is a women's rights campaigner talking about cyber flashing. If you've been a victim of that, do let me know. It's dramatically on the increase among a certain age group. We'll come back to smart... Thank you, Karen. We'll come back to smart motorways. Jeff, coming to your call in a moment. Just a couple of emails. Jeff, coming to your call in a moment. Just a couple of emails. Jeff, coming to your call in a moment. Just a couple of emails. Jeff, coming to your